Out of all the celebrity dating rumors floating around, the idea of Jim Carrey and Ariana Grande secretly dating has certainly caught everyone's attention. Yes, you read that right. TikTok has been buzzing with claims that these two have been romantically involved for years without anyone catching on.
Ariana Grande is allegedly cheating on Ethan Slater with Jim Carrey. And if you've kept up with the blind items, you'll know that Ariana Grande has allegedly hooked up with Jim Carrey multiple times in the past.
So, could there be any truth to it? Let's break it down. First things first, Ariana Grande is currently dating Ethan Slater, her co-star from Wicked, and has been since filming began. So, the idea of her secretly dating Jim Carrey does seem far-fetched.
I want to tell people that if you go to a newsstand and you read about me in these rags, 90% of what you're reading is absolute garbage. It's total fabrication.
Really? That said, Ariana and Jim do share an interesting relationship, and it's worth taking a closer look at how these rumors even started. Let's rewind to 2015. Ariana was on Live with Kelly and Michael and confessed she had a huge crush on Jim Carrey. We're talking childhood crush, lifelong crush, the whole package.
I was kind of nervous to meet him because I was like, he's been my crush forever, and what if he's not as nice as I'm expecting? And he was so over the top nice and perfect and just how I had hoped he'd be.
Wow, can you imagine meeting your idol and having them live up to every expectation? Goals.
And he was his classic Jim Carrey, nice to meet you, thank you, be nice. Remember, be nice. I was like, oh my God, you're so cute.
And Ariana didn't just stop at gushing over him. She made her admiration permanent. She got a tattoo of one of Jim's iconic lines from The Truman Show. In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's next level dedication. But wait, there's more. Ariana's love for Jim's work even showed up in her music. Her album Eternal Sunshine was inspired by his iconic film Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I announced Eternal Sunshine on Jim's birthday.
She even dropped the album just days before the movie's anniversary, proving how much she admires him. And to top it off, she recreated the movie's plot in the music video for her song, We Can't Be Friends, giving a special nod to the film in her own style.
I'm a massive Jim Carrey fan. I don't know if you know this, but my first screen name was Jim Carrey Fan 42. So.
Fast forward to 2020, Ariana got to work with her lifelong idol on the dramedy series Kidding. She called the experience surreal, posting on Instagram about how incredible it was to meet and work with someone she's adored since she was a kid. Jim, for his part, had nothing but glowing words for Ariana. He called her singing talent magical and praised her warmth and generosity.
We're kind of like pen pals, but it's once every few I don't bother him often. I don't ever reach out, but sometimes I'll send, but he always responds, which is the sweetest thing.
About those rumors, could this all just be a clever PR stunt? Honestly, it's not out of the question. Jim Carrey made headlines recently after coming out of retirement to reprise his role as Dr. Robotnik in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Remember when he announced in 2022 that he'd retire unless angels bring a script that's written in gold ink to him? Well, that break didn't last long. Less than 2 years later, he's back in action. Relatable, right?
It's just, I bought a lot of stuff and I need the money, frankly.
On top of that, he's been trying to sell his Los Angeles mansion for nearly 2 years. Originally listed at $29 million, the price has now been slashed to $19.75 million. Could this wild Ariana rumor be a way for Jim to grab more attention ahead of his big Sonic 3 comeback on December 20th? After all, any buzz could help boost the movie's profits. But while TikTok might have fun cooking up conspiracy theories, the truth appears to be much simpler and a lot less scandalous. Ariana's a devoted fan, Jim's a legendary icon, and the internet, well, it loves to keep things interesting. But beyond the rumors and viral headlines, Jim Carrey's life hasn't always been as colorful as his comedic genius suggests. He's faced his fair share of heartbreak and challenges, both personally and professionally.
And at a certain point, I realized, hey, wait a second, if it's so easy to lose Jim Carrey, who the hell is Jim Carrey?
If Jim Carrey left you confused, you're not alone. In the span of 30 years, he's really been putting on one hell of a show. But why is he so complicated? Let's rewind to 1962, Newmarket, Canada. Jim Carrey's comedy journey began here, but it didn't feel like a walk in the park.
You grew up in a car. I like that music. Keep it going.
You see, Jim's family wasn't your typical sitcom family. His mom was constantly complaining about her health, which spooked little Jim.
And she was depressed, and I wanted her to be free. And I wanted her to realize that her life was worth something.
And instead of watching cartoons, Jim and his brother put in a solid 8 hours working as janitors and security guards at a factory to help their struggling father.
And a lot of people don't know this, but when I was about 14 or 15, my father lost his job, and I actually became homeless for quite some time. Of course, I grew up in Canada, so I thought we had just gone camping.
Amidst all this chaos, Jim had one dream: to become a comedian.
Somebody stop me!
So, young Jim was an ordinary guy with ordinary dreams: success, fame, and money.
4 years ago, I used to go up to Mulholland Drive and I used to say, I had this and that and this. Oh, it's all good and it's coming to me.
Can't blame him for this. My dreams are quite ordinary too.
I literally spent, every night of my life for about 4 years on Mulholland Drive after I do the comedy clubs, manifesting my life.
Jim mentioned that he wasn't chasing after glitter fancy stuff. He simply wanted to be excellent at what he did, one of a kind.
And I actually wrote myself a check, and this is for real. This is not a joke. This is for real. I wrote myself a check for $10 million per picture. This is by Thanksgiving 1995.
The future came earlier and brighter than he expected.
Just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million on, I think it was Dumb and Dumber. Maybe.
Dumb and Dumber, yeah.
Today's Jim talks about money differently. I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer. Of course, money's not the answer, but today's Jim knows for sure what money can do. I'll come back to this later. Now, you know what? I want to talk about it now.
I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion.
In fact, I totally agree with Jim Philosopher. Of course, money is not the main thing. This becomes especially clear when your net worth is $180 million.
I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it.
Let me sum up here what Jim retires with. A few things can be as comforting as a white male movie star lecturing about money's trivial nature. And Carrey has got some. From multi-million-dollar homes to an impressive car collection, including a Mercedes AMG and a Porsche Panamera, and even owning a Gulfstream V private jet valued at a whopping $59 million. Only 100 of these jets are actively in service today. Fun fact, guess who else owns a Gulfstream? Elon Musk recently added a new aircraft to his private fleet.
And it looks great when you got a cool car and you got good, nice clothes. And
speaking of Jim's financial prowess, he's not just about spending on himself. He's a true philanthropist. He donated $1 million to 9/11 attack victims and another $1 million to the Paris terror attack victims in 2015. He once organized a raffle for a $40,000 Chevrolet Blazer RS as a gesture of appreciation to his movie crew. Now that's some serious generosity. But let us remind you of a couple of numbers. 180 million. It seems to me like we shouldn't worry too much about Jim's secure old age. Carrey talked a lot about what his mission is. I want to be a positive force in the world. I'd like to make people happy, Jim shared once. But did comedians serve this idea in his personal life?
To a new lawsuit facing Jim Carrey, the actor is being accused of illegally obtaining and giving his former girlfriend the painkillers she later used to take her own life.
I'm talking about Jim's ex-girlfriend back then. At the time, Catriona White.
The 30-year-old makeup artist was found dead in her Sherman Oaks, California home nearly a year ago.
Here's a troubling note written by his ex-girlfriend 2 years before committing suicide. You gave me HSV and HPV. I want you to apologize for it because you care enough to. You introduced me to cocaine, prostitutes, mental abuse, and disease, Catriona wrote. Years later, the lawsuit against Jim Carrey was dismissed, but this situation left many questions. Here's one more questionable episode. Remember Jim Carrey's calling for justice in that Chris Rock-Will Smith slapping incident in 2022? Carrey said Smith should have been escorted out of the Oscar ceremony for what he did.
You do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words.
But hold on, rewind to the 1997 MTV Movie Awards and you'll find a clip of Carrey forcibly kissing a young Alicia Silverstone. And that's not all. He even attempted to French kiss another actor during the same ceremony. Guess whom? Yes, Will Smith. Talk about a twist, right? This footage obviously didn't age well.
Twitter is now slamming Jim Carrey, calling him a hypocrite.
And sure, maybe Jim didn't mean it that way. But what we're seeing is that Jim has shown time and time again that he will go to great lengths just to entertain the audience. Be it a pseudo-philosophy, contradictory statements, or assault on privacy.
Well, I'm retiring, but
No.
yeah, probably.
That same year, Jim announced loudly that he's retiring. He knows how to keep everyone on their toes.
And this is something you might never hear another celebrity say as long as time exists. I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough.
Jim aspired to be a one-of-a-kind comedian and now strives to be a one-of-a-kind celebrity who retires like no other, as long as time exists.
I'm kind of excited about the idea of, really kind of getting into my art and throwing some paint on a canvas, and I'll be putting them on NFTs. And
so we're about to see if Jim will become a one-of-a-kind artist. It seems that we're overthinking how deep Jim actually is. Some things shouldn't be complicated.
I want to be frighteningly normal.
Okay.
Maybe he is simply a showman, relentlessly trying to grab our attention by any means possible.
I was just building something that people would like, but it was a character.
At the end of the day, he said it a long time ago. Always wanted to be an entertainer. So maybe he's playing his part all the way.
Who's Jim Carrey? Oh, he doesn't exist, actually.